But, when you see coaches like seeing Alvin Brooks, seeing Ty
Mhm.
Larson, Rod Clark, like whenever they step into the gym and you actually know them and you get a chance to see them in person, I think like it
That's a
gets me.
good answer. That's a good answer, Brandon. I
You know
like
what I mean?
that's a
You
really good answer.
you know what though? Rod Clark, and a lot of people don't know Rod's history, and it's great. I'm going to do a podcast later on with him about it. But Rod Clark is from Kansas City, but he was in Dallas a lot. He was in Dallas at the grassroots level with RM5. He had his breakfast clubs where he would bring in Tyrese Maxey and those guys. He's really and at one point, did y'all have y'all had a little podcast going for a second,
Yeah,
didn't you?
me and Rod had a
Yeah.
podcast like 10 years ago.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Yeah.
And
What?
one of the things I remember from that, you
What?
definitely threw logs on the fire between me and Dre Rose, for sure.
Yeah, I did. I did. I definitely did.
Definitely threw logs on the fire. But no, it was dope seeing Rod because he's here on business, right? He's here recruiting, but you can tell he's home. He's with us. He's with family. He's laughing. He's joking. He's spending time with us. And no, it was cool. It was a really good social event. And I wrote an article it'll be dropping after the show. But Thanksgiving Hoop Fest is really like a basketball family reunion for real. For people from Dallas, from Texas. It's really like you get to see all the people that you may not have seen in years or been on the road and just to catch up, see what they're doing. But yeah, no, it was a good time. But we gotta jump right into, the conversation of the morning, the weekend, the month. Number one, Link Academy goes down.
Yeah. Yeah, like second loss. I know they lost Utah Prep with AJ. That band's dynamic prep. Had a really good game plan against them. Really made him have to take a lot of perimeter shots, tough shots. And guys like Jaden Toombs was really good. I thought collectively they were strong. Carshawn Young's 9 point fourth quarter was big. He's been struggling since he got on with the team, but that was huge just to see him really execute and score and be him
Yeah.
in that fourth quarter. But yeah, I think collective effort. I thought Leroy Kelly was good. They got a big contribution from that 226 wing forward. I forgot his name, but he was big time. He was big time for them. Just getting defensive stops, making that clutch three. I thought guys made timely shots, and I thought that they gave the ball to their best player when they needed to, and that was Jaden Toombs. So yeah, I know we talk about a lot, like the Burger Boys with Kingston Flemings, because of how it is positioned, Jaden Toombs could potentially have a chance. So I thought he did himself good this weekend.
Brandon.
Yeah, I guess like our perception before the game started was that, since Link had so many athletes that, they would jump out the gate and just start running and jumping and it would be a fun show to watch. But I think their lack of shooting is what made the game kind of stagnant in the first half. And honestly, it was like dreadful to watch to start out until Dynamic Prep found a way to get Toombs the ball in actions where he could be successful. And then when you seen Toombs operating, because he's just naturally a connector at that 5 spot, you see him get the ball and locate his teammates. You started seeing Dynamic Prep get open opportunities. They started hitting shots, and then it became, not the funnest game to watch, but a game that was watchable. You know what I mean? So, like Ani said, Xavier
Had some
Roberson.
highlights.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As it always will. There was high level talent on the floor. But like Ani said, Xavier Roberson, made 2 key plays that kept Dynamic in the game. Avery Houston, the 2027 out of Washington. I think he forced he forced a turnover, and then he had an open floor dunk, and then he hit an open 3.
Yeah, he had 5 points in that stretch. He had 5 points in the steal. Yeah.
Yeah, that kept him in it. And then at the end of the day, Mr. Reliable, Jaden Toombs, whenever they needed a bucket or rebound or that extra pass, he came through as he always does. And like Ani said, I think he does have a serious chance to make the game. And yeah, man, they got a much needed win after losing 2 at the Noble Classic.
Right. Yeah.
Let me fact check you real quick. You said Avery Houston, Washington. It's Oregon. Avery Houston, Oregon. Yeah.
Oregon.
Listen, I've done the same thing, but Avery Houston was big. He was huge for them, and he struggled early on in the season. He's younger with that talented roster in those games, but this was an eye opener for some people that he has the ability, and like you said, he had that dunk, those breakaways, and then Carshawn Young with those 2 back-to-back big threes, back-to-back. Those were huge, turned the momentum. And, I talked to Jermaine after the game, and he kind of took a deep breath when we started the interview just because, they've been losing. They lost to Brennan. They lost to Allen, and so their season was kind of like in limbo, they felt. But now they're kind of back on track, and they feel really good about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they did they did a good job with just bouncing back. We talked about that with players. I thought this team did, and Jermaine's been talking about how they've had some really good practices of late, and they were locked in. So uh, I know we're going to keep going to games, but I really this weekend has shown me like there's not a lot of variance between like the top preps and the high level public, even the local prep schools, like not just in Texas, but like everywhere. I mean, it's just wide
Yeah.
open. If you want to say a team is number one in the country, hell, you probably got an argument at this point.
Yes.
And I do wonder, like, is that because the talent's down, or it's just everything? Everything is just the talent just better spaced out now. I don't know what it is, but it's an interesting year. It's very
I mean,
interesting.
I
yeah,
think there's a lot of parity. Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead. Go ahead.
because Brennan hasn't lost, right?
No,
No, they have not.
like if you said Brandon was the number one team in the country, you would.
I mean,
Like,
yeah,
is
the
that-
only reason you would argue against it is because all those prep teams are like loaded with a bunch of national prospects, and they're not.
Correct.
At the end of the day, they haven't lost, and everybody except for Montverde, I think, has.
Yeah.
So yeah, like they should probably be up there in terms of record wise, and they played real bump.
Yeah.
I think the conversation is that, and 24/7 Sports, y'all are involved in rankings. Ani, you have your form of rankings. I have my form of rankings. But at the end of the day, the ball still has to go up and you have to play. And no, those kids really don't care about your number. And I think a lot of them, it puts a target on your back. I think they want to prove to you as well as everyone watching, like we can play with you. And like we saw, we can beat you. Brennan has beat some really, really good, highly touted ranked teams.
Yeah.
And they're doing it with Kingston Fleming's jumping the center and playing in the post.
Like on some Magic Johnsons.
No, I'm serious. Like for real. Like I saw him jump at center and I was like, yo, what's happening? And then he goes out there and has almost a triple double game where he has 15 rebounds. 9 points, 15 rebounds, 14 assists. We got to talk about their shooters because they went crazy this weekend.
Yeah.
But he's perfect for Houston. He's perfect for Kelvin Sampson. The perfect type of point guard prospect that's going to do it all. I know we had this conversation a little bit, but he does look like Jamal Shed. He looks almost just like Jamal Shed.
He had more assists that game than some teams' point guards have had all season.
Well,
the teams as a whole had on the weekend.
Right.
for real. No, seriously, Brennan made a statement, and I think, they had that matchup with Bishop O'Connell, and Joe's the chairman of the committee, but they 30-pieced Bishop O'Connell, and he did it without being able to knock down shots. He made everyone look great. You guys out there, like Cody Kogel, Camden Kogel, who just looked like a just catch and shoot, knockdown shooter. He was hitting shots all weekend. And Donovan Chris, he was another one. Taylor Todd in that one game had 26. But Kingston is the engine that's making it all go, and he put all of us on notice this weekend because I know I was expecting him to come out and have like a 50-point game, some type of scoring output, but it was what he did all around.
See, honestly, like when you go back to the dynamic prep game and he had like 48,
Yeah.
I was really expecting him, if they were going to win the game, I was expecting him to have kind of like an outing that he had in the O'Connell Roosevelt games that he had this weekend, like having an all-around performance because that's really more his game.
Yes.
But I guess that's just a testament to the warrior he is. He will do anything that it takes to win. I mean, like you said, him jumping center court. He's playing every position. Well, not every position, but 1 and 5.
He is playing every position.
Well, the reason I don't say every is because you have Talon and Calgill and Chris on the wings, locked and loaded, ready to shoot. You know what I mean? So I would just say 1 and 5. But he's controlling the game. And, he's like one of those players where, coach, I don't care where you put me at. I'm just trying to win because I know winning takes care of everything. It's just like a very unselfish, competitive mindset. And I think that's what attracted Kelvin Sampson to recruiting him.
And Brennan is still on Ani's head. They are still on Ani's head. He said they would go down, they would fall in the rankings, and they just keep you. They people just keep getting lined up, and they
Listen,
just keep winning.
listen. I've learned my lesson. I won't bet on Brendan again. Oh, against Brendan. I will not bet against Brendan no more. I don't give a damn. They get on 3-game losing streak. I ain't gonna bet against them.
So
Yeah,
do you think they're going undefeated this year?
I ain't betting against them.
I ain't betting against
I ain't betting against them. I'm not. Nope. Not
you
gonna
don't
do it.
have you don't have anything to say about that.
I ain't gonna bet against them.
I
I ain't
mean,
gonna say they're gonna lose this season because they're gonna be undefeated.
Right.
They're gonna be undefeated. I ain't betting against Brennan. I'm not gonna do it. I learned my lesson.
I think that I mean they beat Allen once already. We know Allen is going to learn from that and come back ready to play. We can we'll get to their game a little bit later. But right now, off the top of your head, put you on the spot. Who are, because you've seen Houston as well. Who are the top four teams, Class 6A, state of Texas? Allen, for me. Allen, Brennan. Duncanville's struggling right now. They lost that game that they lost in overtime. You know, I think they have to figure some things out where their scoring is coming from consistently. We know Bug
will be interesting.
Atascocita, yeah.
Um,
They dropped one this weekend.
yeah, they did.
Who'd
There's going to be a team, huh?
Who'd they lose to this weekend?
It was from hold on one second. I will be able to tell you.
They lost to DeSoto during the week at Hicksman, right?
And DeSoto, that district, that district we have here, 6A. I think you have to put one of those teams in it, either Lancaster, DeSoto, Duncanville. But which one?
I put Lancaster.
That's where I was probably, because before Amari got back, I was going to say Duncanville would probably win the district. And then it'll be between Lancaster, DeSoto, second in that district. But Amari being back and having what I'm calling now the Twin Towers down there, they look like the favorite in that district.
Right.
So Brennan, Brennan, Lancaster, Allen, and who would be the fourth?
I feel like there's going to be a team out of Houston. Right now, I don't know. I just feel like there's going to be a team out of Houston that's going to rise up, kind of separate themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know who that really is right now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like
Bel Air? Is Bel Air at 6A school?
I believe so. Aren't they, Brandon?
Yeah, they are, but I don't have a lot of faith in them.
Really? Why?
They don't like. They had a good win against Little Rock Christian without Shelton.
I watched
Shelton.
Roosevelt beat the brakes out of them, though.
Yeah, they did.
And Roosevelt is a good team.
Yeah, I think with a healthy Shelton, you could say they're in a contention for that being that fourth spot.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to add one of our local Houston guys and give us some insight on Houston basketball. But I think we all agree by far and away, Brennan is the best team in the state of Texas right now.
No, absolutely. If Atascocita is 6A, and I don't know classes and divisions like that ever since
it's changed.
Yeah, it's changed.
I'm disinterested with it. But if Atascocita is 6A, then they'll be a pick for me. I have faith in their culture and their program.
Me too. They peak at the right time.
And then when they get Jalen Finner back, it's a whole different,
way different ballgame. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Speaking of Atascocita, coach, retired DeSoto coach Chris Dyer was here, and he was at their scores table running their book.
How ironic.
I mean, he's a hoop junkie. He can't stay away from it. But yeah, he's there, and David, Coach Martinez and his kids are his godchildren. So yeah, you have the support and the ear of a legendary coach like Coach Dyer. It's no telling what you could do. But Little Rock Christian, I know we sat there for a little bit. I had to go watch some local stuff, but we sat there for a little bit and watched Little Rock Christian versus the Colony. What you guys think of that?
Yeah, I thought that was an eye-opening game in the sense for JJ Andrews. I thought this was like, I wouldn't say a coming out party because he is highly ranked in the 26th class, but just to really see how he's improved. Even though he probably took a higher volume of threes that we made, we thought, he probably should have taken less. But
I didn't like it.
I thought the jumper, the mechanics are cleaner. I thought that he just found ways to win or just put his team in winning contentions, if that's making the pass when he's really getting a lot of traction, like as a driver, that just finish around the basket. Like, he knows how to navigate in tight spaces when guys are trying to take charges on him because they just think he's like a bully, like he's going left and right and finishing with either hand. I just felt like he just did whatever it took to put his team in winning contention. And then, like, at the end of that Colony game, one thing that stood out to me, he said, hey, guys, we got to finish the game. We got to finish the game. So he was about getting stops. He was about securing rebounds. He was finishing. He was making the smart play, burning some clock, like telling his guards not to rush as much, or getting the ball so the guys are in a more relaxed state. That's a maturity. That's a maturity thing that I really liked, that I saw from him. And I think the skill's going to come along. But what he does, I mean, you can just throw him in the game, and he's going to impact winning.
Yeah, Ani. I think Ani's kind of being too nice. Even though, because he did have a 30-point, 13-rebound performance. So,
He did.
obviously that's good. But I mentioned in my article that I wrote on Friday, he easily could have had 40 and 20 watching the game. And, like Ani said, he does have a mature approach. He is a leader. There's a proven background of winning because he won the E16 championship on the Nike YBL circuit with Brad Bill. But my thing is, if you're going to come into the gym, be like 6'6", 215, bulky frame and stuff like that.
Crazy body.
Play the way that your frame looks. And he still had a good performance. I'm not taking anything away from his performance. He got the W, did everything that mattered, as Ani said. But, like, if you're going to come in being built like that, I was expecting him to put more pressure on the rim. I thought it would be more fun to watch, be a man amongst boys. And when he did put pressure on the rim, he found success. His second jump was amazing. Every time he got to the rim, he would miss, get his putback, finish, and ones, live at the charity stripe. But I mean, he shot 9 threes, and
he shot 10.
You got to look at
he
that.
Was 3 for 10.
But you got to look at that team and how it's structured, guys. There's not a lot of, like, not trying to diss his teammates, but who else?
He's the dude.
Who's going to really be bringing the ball?
He's got to score. He's got to score,
like,
for sure.
When someone has to do that much to help your team win, I mean, I thought he took too many threes, but it's not like he had a guard that could continue to bring the ball down and put him in position where he can score in the paint. Like, he had to do a whole lot. So he was like, damn, I'm kind of tired. Let it fly. Like, I get it. I just think when you put him with more better players around him, then he could do those things. But
absolutely, and that's proven. I mean,
that's why I was like, he did, but it's also like, man, he had to do so much, and
it just doesn't look good though. Shooting 3 for 10 from 3, it just doesn't look good.
But 33 and 13 though. That's pretty damn good.
I think I lean. I'm with you. And shout out Courtney Dion. Courtney Dion says he's the most productive player in his class. And shout out Doug. He corrected us. Atascocita is 6A. But I think that, like you said, Brandon, from just our eye test and what we're watching, when you see a player whose body is so physically imposing. I mean, he looks like he's college ready physically right now.
Absolutely.
You would like to see him push that more, be more physical, get to the free throw line more, especially because there was a stretch there. We watched him and he just was clanking threes. He was missing, hitting the back of the rim. And so, and he'll learn that. He'll learn that. He'll get better, but, get to the rim, see the ball go in, get to the free throw line, see the ball go in. And then, but I mean, like you said, it is hard to ignore a 33 and what do we have? 30 and 13, 30 points, 13 rebounds. And then you guys, have a double digit win over Dakari Spear and the Colony. Talk about Dakari's performance. He had 26 points during that game.
I honestly think it was special. Like, I honestly think it was special just because, I also mentioned this in my article. I didn't think he got the amount of touches that he needed to really show what he was capable of, and he still was able to finish with 26. Yeah. I mean, I think he's one of the more consistent producers in the national class, and I've been on record mentioning this before. He plays the game the right way, and everything that he does translates. So, yeah, I would just love to see him get more touches because I think he could have went for a bigger scoring performance.
Yeah, I thought he had a quiet 26. I didn't realize he had that many.
Yeah.
Until I saw the box score, I was like, damn, like, he had a good game. But like you say, you wish he had more touches. And I don't want to be overly critical of just one game because, like, yeah, we wish he was more assertive and shot the ball more. But it was just one of those games. I thought it was kind of hard for him to really just get those touches like that he wanted to, unless he was just going to just get the ball off the inbound and tell everybody to clear out.
And he's not that type of dude. My thing was like you have this dude on your team, top 30 player in the country. Give him the ball. You know what I mean? Like if I'm on his team, like the 16-year-old version of myself, Dakari gets a touch every time. The only reason we're in this event is because of Dakari. Give Dakari the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that was my.
And I thought Bryce Dixon had a good game. I thought,
he did.
I thought he played better than what I was seeing the past couple of games, to be honest. But I'm with you. It's like, especially when Lil Rock Rich was making that run, at some point it has to be like, okay, we need to give Dakari the ball. Like before this gets too out of hand. We need to give him the ball, and we kind of have to live with that. I'm with you, Brandon. I wish I would have seen that more in those scenarios. And I don't want to like be so mad at not mad or just critical of Dakari of just going to go get it because he's naturally just a good teammate. He wants to play within the flow and make sure everyone gets involved, even though he is a bucket getter. So yeah, I just wish when Lil Rock Chris was making that run that, okay, Dakari, here you go. Let's run something for you. Or hey guys, let's give him the ball and let him make something shake so we can kind of calm this run.
Yeah, I think he learned a lesson because the next day they were down 15 in the first half versus Mikey Williams in Germantown out of Mississippi, and then came out that second half and it was you were sitting there, Ani. It was the Dakari Spears show. I mean, he took over every aspect of the game and was face guarded, and players were trying to be physical with him, frustrate him, and kind of get him out of his rhythm. They come back, they win the game, and he has 40. He goes for 40.
He's the top 15 player in the country, in my opinion.
He is. He's the best player in the state of Texas to me.
Yeah.
He regardless of class, to me, he is the best player in the state of Texas. And I asked him about his mentality, because I think some coaches want to see that, not necessarily one-on-one clearouts, but take over a game and lead your team to victory. And he did that against Germantown. And he said he's a dog. He don't care about rankings. He don't care about none of that. He doesn't want to play. And Bryce, he's showing that he's a Swiss Army knife, the utility player, the enforcer, physical, rebounds, does the dirty work. So it'll be exciting to watch the Colony moving forward. And I think they have an opportunity to make some noise in the state playoff run.
Yeah, especially when Xavier. Yeah. When he gets back, they'll be fine.
Yeah, when they get their point guard back, I think it changes. Sagemont Prep and Faith Family, you guys watched more of that one than I did. But Sagemont Prep wins on a buzzer beater, half court outlet pass, 3 dribbles, pull up in the quarter, game over.
Yeah, Sagemont Prep. I actually got their box score pulled up. Matthew Abel, who's going to Miami.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he had a hell of a spring and summer. Really, summer he was just started to really blossom in that 3 SSB and. He's just a bucket getter. He's very confident. I remember seeing him early on as a freshman and sophomore when I was in Atlanta, seeing him I think it was with Georgia Stars, I believe, at the time. And I was like, okay, this kid has a chance to be a high major guy, could be, top 50-ish talent. And he just got better and better. Then I didn't really hear much of him the following year. Then all of a sudden, 3 SSB, he's killing it, right? Yeah. And so I thought this game, he shot a lot. I think he took 24 shots and went 10 for 24, but you could tell like he was just stayed in attack mode, kept his guys in the game, and they won. He made that big time 3. Was it like a one-legged like fade away?
Yeah, he was off balance corner, fading away, let it go right as the horn was about to go off, and boom. And then let the crowd know, told us who he was.
I feel like he's very confident. That's what I like about him. And I felt like he understood like, okay, I need to be assertive in these times in the third or fourth quarter. I gotta, get a paint touch and maybe find my teammates, or I need to let someone else rock out for a little bit. Let me be in a spot up situation. I thought he did a really good job balancing it as far as how to attack Faith Family. And then I thought for Faith Family, I thought Davion Atkins was good. I liked seeing him in the paint, getting paint touches, getting the ball in the post, getting into his hooks, finishing above the rim. He didn't float around in the perimeter as much as we kind of were seeing in the past.
Yeah.
And when he's just doing those things, he looked really, really good. And Brandon had him in his top 10 to 226 performance in that from the Hoopfest. And I definitely agree with that. Like Davion was really, really good. And he's looking like someone that can rise up in the rankings potentially if he just continues to do that, play to his strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't even catch the Sage My Faith family game because I was hungry after and I wanted to go get me a glizzy upstairs.
Whoa.
The damn
Whoa.
Duncanville concession stand doesn't take digital payment. And so I had to leave to go back to my house to get me some pasta, and I missed all the antics. But Duncanville needs to get up to speed. Their concessions, I mean, like, because I missed out on a prime opportunity because they don't want to take digital payment. Like, take cash.
Yeah, please take, like, can we please get Dave or whoever, can we please get the
Cash App, Zelle,
Cash App, Zelle, or a card?
Yeah. We
Please.
need it. We need it. Duncanville Booster Club.
Like, I missed out. I wanted to see Matthew Abel. I mean, I was one of the first national dudes to write about him at the Lucas camp. And so it was good. Like, I didn't get a chance to see him after the Lucas camp, and then he just ascends. So, I want to check up on my work. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't because my stomach was empty.
That took an unexpected turn. Okay. Not the you getting the glizzy though. Not you going glizzy crazy at the Hoopfest. But I will add this with David. You said what? No, go
Kevin
ahead.
Thomas was Sagemont 226. He was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another reason why, because I feel like if I was able to watch the majority of both of their games, Kevin Thomas would probably be on my list. I can only post about what I watched. But I did get a chance to chop it up with him after the game, and that's somebody that I'll keep tabs on. But I heard that he had a good weekend, and that's somebody that people were telling me he has a chance to make a rise in the rankings.
Yeah, for sure.
When it comes to Davion, I agree with the things you said, Ani. The thing for me though, I would love for him to have at least one go-to post move and one go-to counter. I think, a lot of his stuff comes in transition. He does play above the rim. He's definitely a vertical lob threat. I would like to see a lot of that more, a lot of pick and roll, getting him to the rim, rolling to the rim. But if he could just develop just consistently, because sometimes he looks as if when he gets it, wherever he's at on the floor, he's not 100% confident in what he wants to do. Like in his mind, he's not like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then if he defends me this way, I'm going to counter it. But I would love for him to see that next stage of his development is just, maybe let me get some turn and face up pull-ups in the mid post or the elbows, so to speak. But he showed all of his tools. But in that game against Sage Prep, Lamont Hartfield, how many times do we have to keep saying his name? And how many times do we have to keep bringing him up to college coaches and people that make decisions on kids playing at the next level, and they listen? I mean, he did everything. He rebounded, he ran the floor, he defended, he blocked shots, he can shoot the three, he's a lefty. Like, he's not the feature at Faith Family, but he's a bona fide Division I player. He's a bona fide college basketball player, and he showed it. The second game wasn't as good as the first, but in that first game, he did everything. He did everything, and he honestly was one of the reasons, if not the main reason, they were in the game because of that dirty work.
Yeah, he was getting a lot of offensive rebounds. Lamont was more like labeled as just a 3-point shooter, like a spot up guy. And then I know he can make threes, but like how he's crashing offensive glass and defending, utilizing his length on both ends was huge. It's kind of tough right now. I've told coaches like all of us, like, yeah, he's a Division I basketball player. I don't know how long they're going to wait on that with him. Faith Family, luckily, they do play a national schedule, so he'll have a lot more eyes on him as they do travel and stuff like that. But man, like, he's good. He's a Division I player. I mean, he's a Division I prospect, no brainer. He's gotten stronger. He's really committed to basketball and just his development, and he's doing more things on the court outside of just being a spot up guy. And like we just saw him making hustle plays, and those translate those translators as much college basketball we have watched, especially early on this season,
Right.
live or on TV. There are teams, there are games that I do feel like, okay, you plug him in here, he'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like he could compete in there. So whenever that time comes where college coaches are more open to find a high school wing,
Yeah.
if that's late, if that's during the season, I think he'll definitely be someone that'll get scooped up. But I just think he just got to be patient.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope so. I'm just like watching him, and he can be inconsistent, but he is a high. A lot has to be said about the transfer portal and bringing in older guys, and it's kind of hindering and hurting high school players. But I think when someone is doing the things that he's doing with the measurables and natural ability and skill that he has, I think he deserves a shot. I definitely do. But you know, um, I, I- that national schedule will benefit him because he'll be able to be seen by other schools in other states. So I look forward to seeing where he goes, but he's somebody to track as far as moving forward in the future. Once he gets to a program that's going to teach him how to really play basketball and impact and not be so rushed in some things, and I think he'll be a really really good basketball player. But one of the games that we watched, and I love it because I love guards, I love point guards, Calvary Baptist and Rowlett,
Yeah.
Tyrone Jameson. Wow. I know we were talking, Brandon, you were having a conversation, you and I, about where he is in you guys' national ranking or in the national ranking. Um, but he affected that game, brought his team back without shooting it well.
Yeah, basically, I knew he was one of the more gifted scorers in his class, one of the best guards in his class at that. And so I think the talk on the sidelines when we were watching him play, especially in that first quarter, he got off to a slow start, but everybody was saying you could tell that these shots that he is missing usually fall for him,
Yes, yes.
because you could just tell the confidence in how he was getting to his spots and how much space he was creating and how naturally the game came to him. And so we seen him turn up in the second half. He had a couple of pull up threes, got to the lane, but you know where he's really ascended in is his ability to make others better. I think that game was an example of that. He was able to get into the 15 feet area of the floor and just get inside the arc and really just create and make the right kick out passes just to put his teammates in a position to be successful. He, like I said, man, he's great at breaking defenders down. He always knows that he can get his shot off, especially against high levels of competition. I caught him at USA Basketball, and he was the one who, just didn't mind taking any shot, and he had the confidence to make it all, especially in that setting. And so, just seeing him being able to get his teammates involved really showed what he was truly capable of, and how he can make his players better. I think he really made it a point to really show us what he can do from that perspective.
Yeah, the playmaking was what was really impressive. We know he can, put that ball through the hole and, go off and have 20, 30, even potentially 40-point outings. But just the playmaking and affecting the game with his playmaking and his defense when the shots weren't falling was impressive.
Yeah.
The second game, he wasn't as great. He wasn't as good, to be honest with you. Thought he kind of was forcing it a little bit too much. But I thought that game against Rowlett, he had a really good game just because he tried to do other things to impact winning there. TJ showed how good of a passer he is right now. I think he's a good passer and how good a passer he can be down the road. And he's a leader. He's a leader. Like, he's vocal.
Yeah.
He's talking to his guys. He's getting them going. So he really has like PG qualities that are translatable right away.
What I look at, I talked about this with Bug Edwards and I mentioned Wade Taylor. Like, he's one who's been on the scene. He's a sophomore. He's been on the scene for 4 years. I've always known who he was.
Right.
And so just the fact that he had this reputation as a middle schooler and he's, coming into the high school realms and continuing to live up, to the hype is pretty noteworthy within itself. And so, this dude can ball, and I'm interested to see how he projects moving forward.
Yeah, it seems like he doesn't have any issue with defenders. He doesn't see anyone in front of him that can guard him, stop him. Even looking at help, they tried to trap him. He sees the game two plays ahead. He's looking ahead, and I think when he gets around better players, not to say his team is bad, they're not, but when he gets around better players, he's really gonna make it kind of easy for everybody. And when his shot is falling, I mean, there's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
nothing. Yeah, there's nothing you can do. But like you said, we saw it, and you could tell like he can hit that shot. That's a shot he normally hits. He's
Yeah.
in rhythm. He's got the elevation, the follow through. Like he's not just doing things because people are watching. This is his game, and this is what he's allowed to do. And then that second game too, though. But I think that goes to Keller also, though, Ani. I think Keller, they came into it rough, very very rough actually, having lost. They've only won 2 games on the season. But they had just gotten their point guard back. And so with them just getting their point guard back, I think it helped them. But they share the basketball really well. Um, you also have the kid from that's going to Northern Colorado, Steven Ramirez. He was nice, but Luke Fabian, that's who just he played his first game this
Yeah,
season.
he's a
Luke, the lefty point guard, Luke Fabian is extremely underrated. A
Yeah, he
coach is
got
gonna
game.
he has a lot of game. I was talking to Ware after the game, and he didn't say it, but it seems to me that the feeling is that Luke Fabian is probably their best player. He can do a little bit of everything. Tight handle, can shoot it, and he has athleticism. Coach said he had a 39-inch vertical, which surprised me. But he's got a lot of game, and Keller is a team to watch. They are a team to watch. Ani, go ahead.
he's their most important player.
Yep.
I would say. Yeah,
I can't say he's the best because Steven is one of the more pure shooters in the country.
right.
I'll
He
firmly
is.
believe
He
that
is.
when he shoots it, it doesn't hit nothing but the net. Um,
Yeah.
even though I didn't watch that game, but I checked the stats. Did he hit a three that game?
Who? Steven Ramirez?
Yeah, I
No,
thought
he
it,
was he
I,
was
I
he was
didn't think
0
he
for
did.
he was 0 for 4. Luke was 3 for 4. Steven finished with 16. Luke finished with 12 and 7. Steven had
But yeah, like
16 and
I
7.
just think that Steven he specializes in something that translates. I mean, everybody needs shooting.
Yeah.
Northern Colorado values shooting, and so I think we can see him step into that league. What is that? The Big Sky, and earn
Yeah.
early minutes there.
Yeah, Luke is their. To me, I always feel like Luke is probably their most important, just because from the ball handling, he's
Right.
involved, and what he does. Even he helps out on the defensive end, and just he can make Steven's life easier uh, as a scorer. So I think he's just the most important as far as like he's the connector. He's the one that's like being the primary ball handler, handling pressure, getting guys open looks and stuff like that. So that's why I say he is. But I think really your point guard is generally your most important player, your point guard or your center. Like at the end of the
Yeah.
day, they're
Yeah, they go because of him. He makes them go. And they played all ranked opponents starting the season to get ready for their run. But they're somebody to watch out west. They will make some noise, and they're going to surprise some people. But back to Calvary Baptist Rowlett, Kadarian Ureen. Um, I think we did have. Well, let me not speak for y'all. I had a lot of lofty expectations because it's the Thanksgiving Hoopfest stage. I mean, that stage is one of the biggest high school basketball stages in the country, and he played okay. But I think he has a ways to go in terms of figuring out when to attack, when to get others involved, how to affect the game when the shots aren't falling. He finished the game with 16 points, but his team really got beat up on, and it was kind of a runaway towards the end there. But I think Kadarian is one to watch. But I personally did have a lot more. I thought he would do a lot more than he did. But I think it was eye opening to him and the rest of the team. Like this is the national stage, and this is a team not in Dallas, and we got to take it to another level. But they're young. He's a
yeah,
sophomore. Let me say that he's a sophomore. He's young, and don't want to pick on him at all. And I'm not picking on him. I just want to see him bring it a little more and have more of a game plan, if you will, because sometimes it looks like he just gets the ball and just wants to go, but there's really not a plan of what's happening in counter to him going.
yeah. I think he just got to learn how to play. I know we talk about raw, and mainly that's more for frontline guys, but I think Kadarian is raw just as a guard. Yeah, like I said, I thought he had a solid game. I thought he actually played. I liked his aggression. Like you said, he didn't really have a game plan. There's a lot
Yeah,
of upside with him, but he just doesn't really know how to play yet. If that makes any
yeah,
sense. Like he doesn't know how to read how the defense is like where the help is coming when he drives, or
yeah,
what's a quality shot yet, or how to really get others involved when the ball's in his hands. So I think that will happen due time. I kind of view him as a raw guard prospect because he's athletic, he has good size, he's quick with the ball in his hands. He really is a good guard rebounder, in my opinion. So there's stuff there. He just has to learn how to play. He has to learn how to be a better team defender, in my opinion. I think he needs to learn how to read defenses better and not just go in there and just force some bullshit. But that comes with time. Again, I know Raw usually is for bigs, but I think you can use it for guards too, especially for ones that are talented but just don't really know how to play yet or dissect, defenses at a high level right now.
Yeah, Ani is spot on with that. And I don't think it is a problem to use the term raw for guards. I look at Arterio Morris, who was productive in his own right and was a McDonald's All-American. I think we all would say that was a raw prospect as a guard, because if Arterio Morris was a complete player in high school, I mean, he would be in the conversation for number one overall in that class, whether Armani Bates, Jalen Duren were in it or not. You know what I mean? So, using raw, like the term raw for a guard prospect, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And honestly, I think that there is, a great level of promise that comes with that term. And I think Kadarian does have promise. We talk about him learning how to play the game and how to read the game. I think he definitely needs to make strides in that. We would all agree with that. But just in terms of, having that matchup in front of you and being, blessed with that platform at that given time, also would like to see him take the challenge of, guarding TJ in those moments, actually, being loud with his presence. And I'm going to lock this dude up. This dude is top 10 according to ESPN. I want to be in that realm as well. Like, let me assert my will, even if my shot isn't following. I mean, even if my shot isn't falling, y'all are going to know that I'm here. You know what I mean? So, and that's just a mindset perspective. As you said, he's a sophomore. And it just takes time for these guys to develop and learn. Everybody's running their own race. And so once he picks that up, I think we can see him evolve and ascend, not only game-wise, but recruitment-wise as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're about to have a special segment on a topic that none of us know anything about, girls basketball. But there were some special performances at the Hoopfest, and I have special guest Jason Key from ESPN Hoop Girls coming on. I'm going to bring him on. When you guys come back, though, we're going to talk your top 26 players, your top 25 players, and we'll just be talking strictly on prospects when we get back. But I'm going to add Jason, and then I'll see you guys in about 30 minutes.
All right, that's bad.
For sure.
Jason.
Man, what do you know?
Hey, ESPN Hoop Girls joining us. Jason Key, how are you this morning?
Man, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I was just letting Ani and Brandon go for a second to get to this specific segment. But before we start, and Chad Bowers called me. He called me yesterday. I was headed to the gym and he called me and he said, he got on me a little bit and he said, why weren't you watching the girls' games? And he knows me though. I never watch girls basketball.
Right.
But I realized though, that's part of the problem. Someone like myself who is involved in boys high school basketball media, skipping out on a girls game, not watching a girls game is part of the issue of supporting girls basketball as a whole. Because I did watch Special K. I watched her performance, and listen, man, I was speechless. I was literally speechless at what she brought to the floor. So this is my public apology to the DFW and the national girls basketball community that I have to watch to support and just, I may not do the scouting piece, but high school girls basketball at the elite level is very, very good. But high school girls basketball as a whole deserves all of our attention, deserves all of our energy, and they're not just a secondary game. They were featured at Hoopfest. We were having a conversation on the sideline that, the Hoopfest this year didn't have like a marquee guy that came out and had that performance. It was Special K. It was Aaliyah Chavez. Those were the marquee matchups, and the gym was crazy. And you brought in Kim Mulkey.
Yeah.
She was there in her purple. Talk about these matchups at Thanksgiving Hoopfest, which you had a lot to do with this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit of the history of it. So shout out to Glenn Smith at Hoopfest for providing that platform, because that, if the boys aren't there, it would still be special with just girls, but it definitely goes up a level or 5 levels, I would say, because it's a mixture of boys and girls and elite, and there's quality depth that you had on the boys side. Maybe you didn't have number one, but you had a lot of depth there, right?
Yeah.
Same with the girls. There was a lot of depth on our side as well. And providing that platform is how we get people like you there. You're there
Yeah.
because you're on the boys' side more often than not, which is
Yeah.
totally fine. But then it gets in front of you, so you get to see what it's like. If we're not at that platform, we don't get that opportunity. So shout out to Glenn Smith, who we infused the girls. He approached me 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. And I believe the first year was 2020 with the Deja Kelly matchup
Yeah.
here at Hoopfest. And we had one, and now we're up to about 7 to 10 games. I think we were at 10 this year.
Yeah.
And, it's still vast majority boys, but we bring in heat on the girls' side. And like you said, I thought we were the main event this year.
You
So,
were. You were.
yeah.
You
And
were.
so,
You absolutely were. You
and
were
so, no,
100%
it's
the main event.
awesome opportunity that Glenn's presented.
So, Aaliyah Chavez,
Yeah.
Special K.
Yeah.
The matchup that everybody wanted to see.
Yeah.
Run us through that. Talk about it. Because you
Yeah,
guys.
so you have what I consider the best scorer in the country, regardless of class, versus the best point guard, regardless of class. So it's one of those pick your flavor type things. If you go to the pro level, back in the day when we had this LeBron Kobe thing, and LeBron wanted to be a triple double guy coming out at first, and Kobe was a killer. Well, there's a little
Yeah.
bit of that here. You got if you love Kobe, you love Aaliyah Chavez because she will slice you. Like
Yeah.
she is trying to kill you. And if you want the basketball playing piece, and all love to Kobe, don't come at me, people, the folks watching this or whatever. But if you want the basketball player and you want the triple double and make the right read and all that, then that's Special K, right? Two
Yeah.
things can be corrected once. Like, and it's just kind of what your flavor is, type of thing. I thought both of them played really well. The thing I thought for Aaliyah, which is the next step for her in her path to being the female Mamba, is defensively. That's the best I've ever seen Aaliyah play. And now Special K still got hers, but Aaliyah A made some plays, B
Yes.
made her work for everything. And I haven't all the way seen that out of Aaliyah because she can score so easily at times. She doesn't really have to defend you. She waits for you to miss a few. I'm not going to go more than 2 or 3 possessions without a bucket, and I got you. A
Right.
gap's going to form by virtue of scoreboard pressure versus defensive pressure. And so I was really proud of the fight both of them brought. And then I think for those in this region that are really into girls basketball, and we all love Chavez. Aaliyah has carried this state for the last 3 to 4 years. She is a show, right? I think people didn't realize going into that how good Special K is and what we've been talking about. On the national level, away from our region, I've had I get a lot of text from fans, which is great. It's conversation, but a lot of social media play or text or whatever on how can a guard that's 5'4", 5'5" at best be the best player in the country?
That was
Why?
my thought.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
That was my thought. So I was clueless, completely clueless about Special K.
This
So
is great because it's a blind reaction, right?
Blind. So she comes out from the back, and I'm short. We're both short.
Yeah, no doubt.
And she walks up, and I'm like, there's no way that this is there's no way. She's
Yeah.
so small, not to
Yeah.
disrespect her, but she's very small. And I'm
No
like,
doubt.
okay. But you see her in warm up, she's locked in, like mentally locked in. She doesn't notice the camera. She doesn't notice all the media. And there were cameras and medias everywhere. And then she just opens the game up and you see her with the ball and she starts dribbling and the intention. And it's like, oh,
Mhm.
she might be. And then she hits a step back. She can't be guarded. She's getting other players involved. She's sharing a basketball. And then we get to the end of the game and it's kind of like, okay, it's me time now. And it was just a show. I mean, it was 3 after 3 crossovers, getting to the cup. Like it was It was I see why y'all ranked her number one. Because
And it's
who is better than her?
I don't think there is anybody. And the skill perspective that you talk about and the mental side, the reads, like she is a pro level reader and passer of the basketball.
Yes.
And she's not super athletic, but her change of pace and then what you spoke to, her once she steps in between the lines, the expressionless part of
Oh
she
yeah.
never gets too high or too low. It's an even mellow, never shows much emotion on her face other than give you a three ball sign after she makes a three or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, uh, there's just a killer instinct in the kid. Um,
Yeah.
the other thing I thought that this doesn't always happen on the girls' side that I really loved is both of them asked to guard each other. You could see that that was intentional both ways, and that's something that's a big part of the boys' fabric of the boys' side that
Yeah.
we're pushing for on the girls' side. And the girls that come with the mentality that those two both came with will change that because people are going to say you can't duck and be number one. That's going to become a
No.
thing.
No,
That's
you cannot.
and they're setting the precedent for that because neither one of them on defensively, neither one of them hid from the other. They both went for each other.
They did, and they were going at each other. But
Yeah.
Ontario Christian is a young group, freshmen and
Yeah.
sophomores. The 13, I'm sorry, I don't know her name right now. The freshman, the 6'7" freshman.
Oh,
Um,
you're talking Sydney Douglas. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Sydney Douglas.
I didn't remember.
She uh, she
Yeah.
impressed everyone. And then people, I'm talking to men's basketball guys. All right,
Yeah.
so we're sitting there watching it. And they're like, yeah, she can play. What year is she? And we're like, she's a freshman. Everybody's like, what? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're a young group, but they're a good. Where do they match up when it comes to national
Uber talented.
rankings, or where they?
We just had this call before I got on this. Our
Hmm.
ESPN high school ranking side were the team rankings.
Yeah.
So a preview to people, but we're going to push them to number 2 in the
Mm,
country. I'm not so sure they're not number 1. We started them out in the top 10, but I think it was 7 if I remember right, because they're so young, and young teams typically play young.
yeah.
What I thought all of us saw, including you, is that's not a team that plays young. That's a team they're young by age, but they play
Yeah.
like a veteran group. A lot of it because of the point guard play, but they play to their strengths. They had another freshman there, Tatiana Griffin, that was the bully wing, the skill
Yes.
bully wing that shoots a three.
Yeah.
Between her and Sydney Douglas, uh, even without Special K, that's probably the top freshman duo in the country. And then you add the sophomore and Special K on top of it that runs the show, and they answer any question you can present to them.
They
Basketball.
they aced the test. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like they have the answers to it before you even get started. Because, and you mentioned Tatiana, she, like, again, another player that you don't think is a freshman. I
Yeah.
mean, she doesn't play like it. She plays to her strengths. Bully ball. I don't know if I've ever seen bully ball guard play from girls.
Yeah. It's
Forgive
not.
forgive me
Yeah.
for saying, again, I don't watch it, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
she is
It's
bully ball, but it's finesse too, because she can bully you and then get right
shoot
into
the
that
three.
pull up and knock down a jump shot.
It's shoot the three. Yeah. And I wouldn't say she's definitely not the first bully ball player, but it's not common specifically at that age to
Yes.
be able to have the frame to be able to bully. I
Yeah.
mean, she has a college ready body now, uh, as a 14-year-old. And then Sydney Douglas, and all three of them to a certain point, but Sydney Douglas is a future Olympian. Like
Yeah.
you're talking elite footwork, finish. Mom played at UCLA. Dad played football at USC.
Mm.
So I mean, she's got elite level athleticism in her background, and you can see the skill level and being able to play with that type of point guard is going to serve her really well because they do a really good job, as we talked about a young team playing old. They do a really good job of forcing whatever the mismatch is. If it's
Yeah.
Tatiana, they go to her. If it's Sydney, you want it that way, we go to the post and let her work. Of course,
Yeah.
Sydney hit a couple threes too. She can hit the trail three at 6'5", 6'6". And so there's no question that they can't solve basketball wise.
Yeah.
They have all the answers.
Now, coming back locally, Duncanville and Etowanda, California. That was a rematch from last year.
Scrappy.
Talk about that game for a little bit.
Yeah, so Duncanville, Samari Holman, the sophomore, 13, led the way for Duncanville. They came off a crippling loss to Ontario Christian on Saturday. They got ran, right? So I was
Yeah.
interested to see how they were going to respond. And Samari Holman leading the way. She's their playmaker, facilitator. Did a great job of getting the ball. Scoring when she needed to, getting the ball to their scores. They have Jazzy Gibson, who recently committed to Arizona. Hit it. That was number 3. Hit a couple threes. 3-and-D type kid, projection at the next level. Originally went to Florida Gulf Coast. Interesting story. The Florida Gulf Coast head coach left for the WNBA. He's the new head coach of the Atlanta Dream. So she decommitted right before she signed, and then got into a recruiting war and ended up at Arizona from Florida Gulf Coast. Yeah, so it's interesting because y'all deal with that more on the boys' side, the movement of the coaches.
We do.
Yeah. And then they had also Tristan James, 23, also a 3-and-D gritty forward who's committed to UNLV. So that was particularly coming off the loss that they came off on Friday to Ontario Christian. I was really proud for them for the response. Didn't hang their hands, got up the next day, and there's a lot of pride and pressure that comes with playing at Duncanville here locally.
Very much so.
You can't, and so like that was a lot of weight on those kids' shoulders. And then you got one of the reasons Kim Mulkey was there. Obviously, there was recruiting piece for the future. But on Etowanda, you had Grace Knox. That was the long, lengthy 23 wing, number 23 wing. She's committed to LSU, top 10 in the country. You can see athletically where she fits into the SEC and a Kim Mulkey type build defensively and all that. And she had a terrific summer. They didn't have the best weekend this weekend as a team, but she had a terrific summer. And then Puff Morris, their point guard, 25, who's won throughout her career. It was interesting. This weekend, she lost twice. It's the first 2 times in high school I think I've ever seen her lose. Like they've won for 4 years. They've been at the top of the country and just caught her on the wrong weekend. She's committed to Cal, gonna go play up at Berkeley. Great point guard. Had a great prep career. Will be a strong McDonald's All-American candidate this year and a strong class of guards. She's right in the mix. And they just had that was a great game. I mean, that was a 50-50 game. Duncanville won by 3 or 4. Came down to the end. And again, I'm really proud of Duncanville's resolve. And Etowanda's gonna go back and recoup because they haven't lost. They've lost 3 games. They actually lost to Ontario Christian and out in Cali earlier in the week leading into this, and then they lost to Cy Springs and Duncanville this weekend. And they haven't had a 3-game losing streak there probably in years. So I think I would imagine they're going to go home, regroup, and become a buzzsaw throughout the season.
I mean, there was just really I'm listening to everything that you're bringing to me, and from if this were boys, the names, the commitments, the names, the rankings, it's the best. This was the best of the best this weekend right here in DFW. And it was just, it's eye opening to me. I think that's what I left with was my eyes were open. There's the Caitlin Clark conversation. There's the Bayou Barbie conversation at the WNBA level. And then there's the South Carolina conversation, Juju at the college level. But at the high school level, there are plenty of very, very good girls basketball players that perform when the lights are on, because the lights are on this weekend. Every girls game that I walked by, and I have to admit, I walked by them, I didn't stop in the gym, was packed. The gym was packed. It was packed.
No doubt.
And I will never in life again use the girls games as a time to get a break from what I was doing. But Lincoln played DeSoto.
Woo!
And somebody went for 50.
Woo! So, give me just a second here. I'm catching up. I was in the gym. I pulled a U. So I had a couple of games I had to cover going on at the same time. So I started off at Dallas Lincoln and at Lincoln and DeSoto. And the names are Jayla Elder. She's a 2026. Uh, she has played for the Lady Jets. So Jason Terry
Yeah.
has coached her for the last 2 or 3 years in the summer. She has been a consistent and steady riser. You see this a lot on the boys' side, right? Right now. She's one of those under recruited kids. Doesn't have any offers to my knowledge yet. That's about to blow, obviously. And she's always a kid that was gonna blow. She's the same kind of thing you deal with on the boys' side, where this kid's good enough. They just got to wait their time and all that.
Right.
Right time,
Yeah.
right place. And so, I thought she had I left at half to go watch the other game I had to go catch, and I was going to come back, and that's what I did. I thought she had 15 to 20. It was good. She was cooking a little bit, but it didn't feel like we had a 50 ball coming. Then I come back to the fourth, and she couldn't miss. In the class, like you said, it was wall to wall packed. I mean, you could barely even step out of bounds. People sitting. I mean, it was packed in that gym, and she couldn't miss. I mean, she was on fire. So shout out to our Dallas Lincoln. Talking about young teams, that's the best young team in the state. Lene Dallas is a 2028, one of the top freshmen in the country. 2027 Jada Patterson. You're talking about a potential top 100 kid nationally. And then you got our Jayla Elder, 2026, the score, like kind of the quiet, silent assassin who has another summer. By the way, all three of those kids also play together for the Lady Jets in the summer. So they play year-round together. And them and Argyle, who was also at this event, set up to be the best two teams in the region in 4A as they find each other leading towards the state playoffs later in the season. That is going to be a war.
I was going to say,
Dallas is legit.
So we could potentially have Argyle Lincoln in the playoffs for some real bragging rights, as well as getting to the state championship.
And they've been on the girls' side longtime rivals. They've typically been in the same class. They find each other in the regional finals. Whoever wins is the state winner to win typically the favorite to win state, and that's been going on for 20 years. Like that's been going on for a long time, and it hasn't. There's times Argyle's better, there's times Lincoln's better, and then there's also been times they were out of each other's class for a couple of years. And we'll see how that works this year. With you're dealing with it on the boys' side as well. We're having the dual state champions in each class, like we do in football, big school, little school. And so I don't know for sure that I know they're in the same big class, or they're going to be in the same.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Some of that UIL alignment is kind of weird, but
it is.
We'll figure it out. We'll get it. Hopefully they'll get it right or go back to what it used to be. But Faith Family has been a part of some it's basketball, but some non-basketball conversations. They make the decision to leave UIL to go national. But they're loaded. They're a loaded team, and they had a good game this weekend.
They are. So they played a national level IMG team. I didn't think either way. The one thing we got to do in girls basketball is when we get these opportunities, we need to show people how good we are, how good the product can be. That game, both teams struggled. And when people that don't love girls basketball get to those games, they'll point to games like this where we don't have the dunkers and all that. And then it gets a little sloppy when you don't have that piece. We got to be precise when we have people's eyes, right? And that goes to the college level, to the WNBA. That goes on all levels. And so there's a lot of talent. These kids had great summers. They're all talented. We're not going to hit them too hard. But there's only so many times that I get people like you looking at it, and we got to capitalize on those moments, right? Yeah. And so it wasn't the best of game. It wasn't the best of showing for Faith Family, but they'll get it together as their season goes on. They are missing a key piece that's about to return in Finley Chastain, top 20, 27. She's a top 20 kid in the country, 2027, coming off an injury. She told me she was going to go full bore starting tomorrow, starting Tuesday. So that's going to open it up because she's maybe the best shooter in the class, in the national class. So that's going to open up the offense, right? And you got Amari Biles, who is, I think she's number 17, I believe it is, in the country right now in the 26th class, heavily recruited all over the country, from South Carolina to Notre Dame to Ohio State, to everybody you can name, all of them, all over the country. You got the Jordan sisters, who were at South Lake Carroll. Their dad is a Dallas legend, played pro ball overseas.
Yes, he is.
And so there's a lot of storylines to him to watch there. Joy Egbuna, who's an Alabama commit, a top 100 kid in the 26 class. It goes on and on and on. Sunshine Garcia, top 50 kid, everybody in the country wants in the 26 class. But they, having said that, a team with that much talent can't score 29 points. You got that many players. When I get you to come watch us, we got to be in the 60s, 70s.
That is, I was having a conversation with one of my photographers, Joe's Photography, and she made me look good this weekend. I will say thank you, Joe. But that was my conversation. She said to me, "Do you watch girls basketball?" And I was like, "No, I don't." And she was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, the games where it's sloppy, it's messy, they're not scoring, there's nothing of entertainment value for me to sit there and watch. I leave more frustrated. Now, I leave the same way when I'm watching bad boys high school basketball.
Sure,
I do.
Yeah.
But I'm more invested naturally
Correct.
in boys than girls.
Correct.
So I'm with you on that. I think a team that's loaded like that, scoring 29 in a sloppy game. Now, there's always sloppy games. There's always messy games.
Of course.
But I'm on board about advancing the girls' high school basketball game.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, and I'm not speaking to the girls basketball fans. Y'all are coming no matter what. I talk to you
Right.
guys all the time. I'm speaking to the non-girls basketball fans that we're trying to get in, and we have to have the product to entice you to come to spend your time. Like that's just the truth of it. And so we got to be able to capitalize when we get those moments in those gyms. I got all the boys guys. They're looking for the right game. All right, I'll go try the girls game because there's a bunch of top players here. The Jordan girls are playing. Everybody loves Walsh, right? Everybody in the community knows Walsh. So we're gonna go watch. We got to capitalize on those moments. That's just the truth of it.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. But Legion Prep also took on IMG. Talk about that one.
Yeah. So let's touch on IMG. They came in there ranked number 2 in the country, right? They're loaded. Their point guards committed to UConn. They have a top 10. It keeps going. They got a top 10 wing committed to Denia Pro, committed to Tennessee. They have Laura Sumpai, Australian move-in, committed to Stanford, who would be a top 20 kid in the States. They have Nyla Wilson, who scored 45 against Chavez in the EYBL semifinals. And on and on it goes. And so same thing. They won the game, but they only scored 38, right? Against and so they against Faith Family. And so they're loaded, but they have to get it together. And it's early in the season. There's a little bit of that, but we have to capitalize on those moments. I'm a no excuses guy. I don't want to hear why we couldn't. I want to hear why we can. And so that they'll play better throughout the season, but they haven't caught their rhythm yet. And in terms of Legion, I want to say something about. I have a lot of respect for what Taylor, the head coach at Legion Prep, does. I consider him to be amongst the very elite, if not the elite, as far as basketball coaches in our region. He formerly coached Pro Skills Top Team. He's making a move over to IFN on the Under Armour circuit girls, and he's the head coach at Legion Prep as well. And he is as good a developer / basketball coach as we have. He is elite. And so he's dealing with a major injury. He has J.C. Abbey, who ACL's out for the year. J.C. Abbey's the best kid in Dallas. She's top 10 in the country 2026. Everybody in the country wants, but she's out for the year. So he still has Kimora Pruitt, who's a top 20 kid, was part of the DeSoto crew that transferred out. And he has Ryan D'Souza, currently hurt, but she'll be back here fairly shortly from what I understand. Top 50 recruit, part of the DeSoto group. She's the point guard. He's dealing, so only one of those in KP, Kimora Pruitt, was out, and Kimora Pruitt played her ass off against IMG. So IMG pulls the game out, close one. I think it was 50-48, 50, somewhere in there, close game. Yeah. J.C. Abbey, with all those kids I just talked about, the UConn, Tennessee commits, she was the best player on the floor. I didn't see how many she had, but I would guess it was at least 30. You're talking about a 6'2" stretch can handle it, can shoot the three, like very versatile offensively. I think for her personally, JC Abbey being hurt, Ryan D'Souza being injured in the short term, and her having to take on all the responsibility has
Yeah.
helped her. It's helped her elevate because she's having to do a lot.
Yeah.
Every loose rebound she has to go find. They run through her offensively, and she played really well. She was one of the better weekends, and they only played one. They played Friday, and they lost. That's where we talk about it's not just about winning,
Yes.
right? It's about development, and she had one of her better games I've ever seen her play, and she's had some monster games. She was terrific in that game.
You have just given us, you have just given me, and I'm pretty sure all the people that are watching, so much high level basketball and high level basketball players. I am sick to my stomach that I missed all of it. I watched some of Conway and Monterey, and obviously I watched all of the Special K game. Yeah, that sounds like there was some great basketball going on.
I want to plug one more game. That's Cy Springs. Actually, two more, but Cy Springs.
Yeah, go ahead.
We never wanted by two. Cy Springs has Isla McDowell, who's is pushing to be a McDonald's All-American, committed to South Carolina, out of Houston, 6'2" wing, and they have 2027 Gemini Mitchell, top 10 kid in the country, another 6'2" stretch wing, and they terrific battle. 1-2 late over Etowanda. And this is another team that's bounced back. Cy Springs is taking a couple of losses they probably shouldn't have. They lost to Duncanville, which is a 50-50 game earlier this year. And they lost Frisco Memorial, a team in retrospect they probably beat sometime, but took a loss. Great response beating a national level team in Etowanda. And Gemini Mitchell is one of the better players in the state. And so that's probably the favorite coming out of Houston in 6A, and a loaded Cy Springs team that seems to be finding their footing.
Yeah.
And then locally, we talked about them, but Conway versus Argyle, double overtime game, fans going nuts. Conway, a scrappy team out of Arkansas, found a way. Typically, one of the best teams in Arkansas, found a way to beat Argyle. So, as we talk about on your side, the depth of boys, we were loaded on the girls in terms of
It sounds
depth.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It sounds like, and Chad, like I said, Chad called me and, he got on me. He got on me. Me and Chad go way back when he was on the boys side. But he tells me that there is a tournament this weekend an event in Mansfield. She got game.
She got game. It's in Lancaster. It's at Lancaster High.
Okay, Lancaster High School. And he said, and I'm putting you on the spot here, that you can help me get a media credential for that.
I absolutely can. All you got to do is you call me. We'll get you there. We'd love to have you. We're there Thursday through Saturday.
Okay.
There's a lot of high-level teams coming in. A lot of matchups of the local teams you'll see that you normally see here. I don't have that in front of me as far as matchups.
Got you.
But we start Thursday night. I'll be posting stuff throughout the week at bballJkey. Twitter's my main Twitter now. X is my main form with that stuff. But you'll see stuff all across all our platforms. I also highly encourage Sunday night, 6 p.m. Dickies Arena. We have South Carolina versus TCU. All right.
Yep. Yes, we do.
We don't bring Dawn Staley in too often. We don't get to see her in Dallas too often. This is your chance to see them, the defending national champions. And TCU's been on a warpath. TCU has 2 big wins. They just most recently just beat Notre Dame. They're gonna be in the top 10 in the country by Sunday. That poll comes out today. I bet you they're in the top 10. And South Carolina's probably going to be at 2. And so it's going to be loaded. It's going to be packed. We got discounts for groups of 10 or more. Just hit us up at hoopfest.com. There's a link there for the group packages, and it's going to be packed. It's going to be a group fest, Hoop Fest environment on the college level. And one of your chances to see Dawn.
Yeah, we never get to see her. To see her. And I will bet. Listen, I'm there. I'm gonna call you after we get off of this. I'm gonna be there this weekend for a little bit. I'm there Sunday. Man, support girls high school basketball. Support girls high school basketball at all levels. Support your local girls high school basketball team. Don't just support the boys. Don't just give money to the boys booster club. Give money to the girls booster club. It's the conversation oh, why don't we support? Why don't there are women basketball watchers that support it, but they need us. We love the game of basketball. I love the game of basketball. I can watch on an off day at the playground around the corner from my house, guys play basketball. Support the girls' game. We need to support it. I'm supporting it. I'm going to get on Brandon and Ani when they get back. All my friends in the business, let's support the girls. Let's get behind the girls. We have Jason Key, ESPN Hoop Girls, Premier Basketball Report. I'm going to have you on a podcast to talk about your whole basketball journey and everything that how you've gotten to where you are so we can get the whole story. But, man, thank you for being on here with us today.
Man, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we'll get back to it. And you know what? I'm gonna follow up with you in this season. Have you on to talk more girls basketball because you are
Anytime.
on top of it, man.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it. We're gonna get back into this and we'll catch you next time.
Appreciate you.
All right, thanks, Jason.
All right, man.
Fellas,
That's
we're
good.
back. Brandon,
I'm
did you
telling you,
get a glizzy while we were off? Did you get you a glizzy?
Nah, but I got my hip stretches in. I'm very
Okay.
fit right now.
See, this is the and you just
That's gang.
so ending out the show, last segment of the show, we're going to talk top players in 2026, top players in 2025. Who stood out for you guys in the class of 2025, Ani?
For me, obviously, Kingston Flemings.
Yeah.
Jameer Jones for Oak Ridge was really, really good.
Woo. Yes.
He was really good. People didn't talk about that enough. Like he was to me, he was the second best 25, arguably second best 25 in that event.
Yeah.
But obviously, like Kingston, Braden Burries was really, really good too. So Jameer Jones, Matthew Abel, I have at 4. And at 5, I'm gonna go. It's like Cam Cowgill. Jaden Toombs.
I'm gonna have to throw DJ Hall in there too. I know he was in the back gym,
Yeah.
but he went for 30 plus. Plano East, he's a dude.
He got taller.
He's a dude,
did
and
get
he
taller.
did get bigger. He did
He
get
got
bigger.
taller. I seen him in the hallway, and I told him, I'm like, bro, you got taller. He said,
Yeah.
because B, I am tall. And I'm like, no, you're not.
No, he definitely got taller. He's definitely going to inch and a half. He's gotten taller. DJ Hall definitely is in contention for that 5th spot. I just know with dynamic going 2-0, especially the game beating Link. That's why I kind of have him ahead. But Plano East, what are they 10-0 right now?
Yeah, they haven't lost a game yet.
Yeah.
Bro, they haven't lost a game in like
Very long time.
40 years. Like
Long time.
you know,
Very long time.
Yeah, so I would say that's my 5. Then if I want to go 6 to 10, I really don't know how that looks like. But like DJ Hall, Cam Cowgill will kind of be in there.
Cam was shooting the ball really well this weekend.
Yeah,
I mean, he was catch and shoot, knock down, almost automatic. He was really good this weekend.
Yeah.
Brandon, 2026, who you got?
all right, we talked about JJ Andrews. I want to give this to 5 players we haven't talked about on the show.
Okay.
So, let's start off with Taylor Todd. I mean, we talked about him a little bit, but not a lot. He hit 8 threes in that game, and he's somebody who I think once Kingston graduates, we're going to see him elevate into a role where he has a higher usage rate, and we're going to see what he's really capable of doing. I evaluated him a lot when he was a freshman, and he has some pat and speed. So he could be one of the more exciting players in the Central Texas area. And I could see him really emerging as a senior, like during his senior year, which is pretty hard to do. But he had a great performance shooting the ball, especially against Bishop O'Connell. I want to talk about Noah Hill. Noah Hill is somebody who started out at Frisco Emerson, reclassed at Pace Academy, and now he's at Sunrise Christian in Kansas as a 2026. And his body has, filled out well. He's grown 2 inches, and he's somebody who takes pride in playing hard. I just love the work that he's put in to get himself to this point. He says Texas A&M is on him hard. I heard Wichita State is fooling with him. And he may be a reclass candidate to come back up to the 2025 class. So that's something to look out for. Donovan Chris, he shot the ball well. He was on the receiving end of those Kingston Fleming's passes.
Yeah.
Just a spot up shooter, long arms. He can give you something defensively. But just him coming up in that Brennan culture, he already knows what translates within his game and what it takes to win. Nolan Barkley of St. Michael's, he played in the Germantown game. Shooter with some size, 6'4", probably a sleeper, but somebody that you should keep tabs on. That St. Michael's team, no matter who they play against, they love to compete. They play physical, 50-50 balls. It's like non-negotiable for them. So I love that. I love that group. And then I guess this is 6, but I got to give love to the Armature twins. If you're not familiar, the twins that Ani gave me hell about 2 weeks ago. I'm one who if you play well, like I'll shout it out. Whether you're a national name in our 150, you're a D3 prospect, D2 prospect, D1 prospect. If you play well, you're going to end up on this list. And what they did against Link Academy, they really show. Like I already mentioned them as workhorses, but they upped it times 10 when it came. You could just tell that they had it on their minds to assert themselves and show that they can compete on a national level.
They're feeling undervalued. They feel undervalued.
Yeah, and they did. And what's so crazy is, when you have a great team that plays for one another and they act as a unit, they're always going to have a chance in any game. And they exemplified that. But whether it was rebounding, pushing the ball, scoring over size and length, hitting open shots, I mean, they just did what it takes they did what it took to keep the game competitive. And they had Lincoln Fitz. So, those are the 5 or 6 players that I thought stood out, from that junior class.
Yeah, I agree with that. And for me, continue on 25, Mohamed Sia and Spencer Renz from CI Bella Vista, whatever Bella Vista team. I think that was the second group, I think. They were really good. 225 prospects are the high major guys. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then the last one, Jalen Dean Vines, I thought he had a good game against Centennial for Kimball. I thought he, showcased athleticism, potential in scoring.
What do you guys think about Derek Bivens?
Darius Bivens.
Darius is good, especially that second game. He was really in control. I thought he played a big, the big reason that they won that game against Duncanville. The first game, they were just better. Brennan was just better than. Yeah. I thought he had a good game. He's very crafty. When you look at him, his stature obviously is small, but he has handle. He's shifty. He's smart, and he can score. And he just knows how to play. He has a really high IQ.
There's something to be. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to see him choose a school where he can play right away, because by the time he gets to college, he'll have seen so much bump and played so much basketball that he'll have a great feel for how to make the right plays in certain situations. Not saying that he doesn't already now, because he does. You could just tell that he's a gamer. But I'm interested to see if he goes to a place where he can play right away and actually get some starters minutes or serious minutes in the rotation. He will make a national name for himself in the college basketball scope, just because he has so much game, and you could just tell he has a bag on him.
Yeah, I want to add to that 2025 list, Bug Edwards. Duncanville lost 2 games. And as a matter of fact, they were in such control of that Bella Vista game on Friday night. I left. I was ready to get home. I left. I got on the highway. By the time I got home, they had lost the game in overtime, there's a lot to be said about that. But Bug, 40 ball. He's a walking 40 ball. Scoring, he has mastered the art of scoring at the high school level. I don't think anybody can stop him from doing what he wants to do. He has a quick trigger. He can shoot the 3. He can score. He can drive. He can shoot the floater. He can get everybody involved. So, I think Bug Edwards deserves a shout out for his 40 ball. But I think also that, Duncanville they're figuring some things out. They're figuring it out. And I think they are looking for a secondary scorer. They're looking for someone to be a secondary scorer, whether that be Davis, whether that be Deuce. They need scoring from other places, because if teams can key in on Bug and double him and send bodies at him, they're going to need somebody else to get it done. But Bug Edwards' performance is definitely worth worth mentioning. Like I said, Dakari Spears the best player in the state. I don't think there needs to be anything else said about that. He is that. Marcus Spears, it was his first time kind of on that Hoopfest circuit. We know his ranking, we know how good he is, but he played okay this weekend. Played all
I
right.
just think it's his role with that group.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
being in those games. It's almost like, okay, if when he comes in and he's doing good,
yeah,
he'll get more touches. If
yeah,
not, he's gonna play more of a rebounder, hustle guy role. So I think it just comes and goes. I think he does good for what his role is right now with that team, and I think he's learning and he still has to learn how to still be a really good player around other really good players that may be
yeah,
older than him. Like, once you get done with high school, college, you're gonna be with some
yeah.
old dudes. So
Some
he's got to
oldies.
figure out how to still be an alpha or be a guy around other guys.
And he
Yeah,
can't. And I think it's something, it's so crazy. It's something as simple as like maybe if he sets his mind to trying to grab 10 rebounds a game,
Right.
rather than, because when you're young, you always think about like you always feel that scoring is the best way that
scoring.
you can
Yeah,
really
scoring.
impact the
Yeah,
game. And I'm not saying that he does feel that way because he has played a lot of basketball, but maybe if he did approach the game with the mindset like, yo, like I got to get 10 rebounds. Like that's the only thing I'm worried about is getting 10 rebounds.
yeah,
He could probably be more impactful than he already is because obviously there's the physical limitations there. But he is a dog. He is a dog. So if his mind is set on that, I'm pretty sure we could see dynamic prep as a team. I think he has enough power to have dynamic prep as a team really evolve if his mindset shifts into that
Right,
space.
because that's what they're missing with Amari Reed being gone. I felt like that's where he takes that role of that other frontline guy that's rebounding, blocking shots, just really making plays off his energy. I
yeah,
think he does that on occasion, but if he, like Brandon said, if he just focuses on, I'm gonna go get 10 rebounds and 2 blocks, like that team beats Link by 15, right?
Absolutely.
yeah.
Like,
They definitely
Yeah.
do. Yeah,
The games that they lost this season or games that were even close. I saw them against Putnam City North stuff. Like they just completely blow out those games if he's doing that. So he's young. He's got to figure it out. But I will say like he's one of those like intriguing X factors for them. If he can figure that out, then he takes them to another tier.
yeah, yeah. I think Dynamic saw the potential of who they can be, and it's just a matter of now moving forward, putting it all together. But where would Ani, you're more involved in some of the national team ranking conversation. Where would you put Dynamic in the national conversation?
I would say top 20 because you did take top 15 to 20. You did take 2 early losses
Yeah.
against local teams.
whoa.
But I mean, Brennan and Allen are really, really good.
I
So
was
it's
gonna
not.
say, yeah, they
Yeah,
were
I got a
nationally
question
ranked.
for you. So, like, the more that Brennan wins, doesn't that make Dynamic look better from a
It,
ranking perspective?
it does. It does. Dynamic signature win against Link helps them a lot. I think they're going to be at City of Palms. I think they play DME Academy. When
Okay.
they kind of get into those games, I definitely think they rise. I think they're a top 10 talent. I think
Yeah.
right now you're probably safe from putting them in the top 15.
Yeah.
Until like they just get more signature wins. I wish like that Bella Vista win was good, but like I wish it was like the Bella Vista we saw against Columbus, right? You know what I mean? Like the actual like players, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I would put them like top 15, but I definitely think they'll be top 10 and arguably
That
top 5.
was
Yeah.
I was gonna say, sorry to cut you off there. I talked to Ronnie last night, and that was not Bella Vista's EYBL Scholastic team.
Yeah.
That was their post grad team.
Yeah.
So I think, like you said, maybe, and I didn't see that game, but maybe the EYBL Scholastic team was the one that played against Columbus.
Yeah,
No,
they
the
played.
AYBL Scholastic team is nasty. It's
Yeah, like if I'll
Canadian.
say this, if Dynamic played that team and won, no brainer. I would put them no brainer
Yeah.
top 10. And
Yeah.
it's nothing dynamic. Dynamic plays whoever's on the court with them. And that was a good team.
Right.
That team was good. Like
Yeah,
that
they
team,
were. Yeah, not taking anything away from them,
yeah,
but the
it just
EYBL Scholastic team is different.
yeah, if they played that and won, yeah, a whole different conversation. And,
Yeah.
and if you want to argue top five after that, I wouldn't even really, you have a real argument. But right now, that Link win is big, but it's also Link's a good team. Don't get it twisted. But how good is Link? Like as far as are they a top 10 team nationally on
One
paper?
thing,
Yes, but that's something that they got to figure out.
See, I
one
kind
thing
of
we
like I
found out about.
disagree.
No, go
What
ahead,
you
Brandon.
said?
Go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead. Go
I
ahead.
mean, I
Go ahead.
disagree. Like I just don't think Link is a good team right now.
Yeah,
Like, can they be a good team? Honestly, I don't even know. They don't have nobody who can shoot the ball. They just have a bunch of athletes, and I think they have a bunch of kids that are not kind of woke on what their roles should be. And I don't even know if that team like fits well together. That's just going to be something that we see at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But I mean, we talked about earlier how we wanted to see Dynamic Prep compete for Chipotle. I think with that win, obviously against what was the number one team in the country, they should be back in the mix. Now, I don't know the politics of it all, but I think the parity of the national high school basketball scene is alive and at an
yes,
all-time high at this point. I mean, Montverde is the only unbeaten team in that scope, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Everybody's losing. Like you said, there's a lot of parity in high school basketball. There's a lot of parity. A lot of the superpowers are being found out to be beatable. And that Link team, like you said, their issue is they can't shoot the basketball. They can't shoot it at all. They don't have anyone that can, provide that outside cover. And they are trying to figure out how to mesh, with the group that they have and how they fit together and play together. But I agree, they came into it and they were the Link Academy, number one in the country, and names, numbers galore, and Dynamic got them. And I think it's sending them back to the drawing board of understanding who's who and what's what. And so we will see. But I hope that Dynamic is back in that national conversation. I think they deserve to be.
for
And I
sure.
also hope that Marcus Spears steps up to really take them over the top and take them to that next level of who they can be, because I think you're both exactly right. He goes in there, he patrols the paint, controls the boards. That's a different team. That's a different team.
The Chipotle National Tournament, was today, and let's say Dynamic was in there. Like whoever is, was it 1 through 8? Is it what it is?
I'm not. I haven't
I
even
agree.
looked at the
I'm pretty
national
sure. Like
specifics
the
of that.
AC could win it. like
Yeah.
it's like that right now. Obviously, when
Yeah.
we get down the road to like what February, March, like I think things will be more like clear or who really will have a chance. But if you were to ask me like, oh, this tournament started today, it'd be a toss up of who win from 1 through 8.
Right. Right.
so, and also, you mentioned Marcus Spears, who was a 27. I wanted to give love to a 27. St. Michael's has a
Yeah,
wing named Sun Jinkith. I'm sorry if I butchered the name. But I watched him play for 2 games, and it was 2 games where he shot the ball extremely well from behind the arc, handled it well versus pressure. And like I said, that team, they compete against anybody. And he was up there in terms of his competitive fabric and the juices that he gave, the energy that he gave to the game. And, he stepped on the hardwood looking for his presence to be felt and for his name to be heard. And, I think he's a 2027 prospect in the Lone Star State that will be Division One. Um, I think coaches should definitely, keep an eye out on him. Somebody in the Central Texas area who can make open shots. He's 6'4", long arms, and I mean he competes. He really competes. He does it like that's all he knows, and I'm interested to see how he tracks because he's just fun to watch. Every time I watch him play, he always is leaving some type of imprint on the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's definitely one who I think is a Division One prospect. His brother committed to St. Ed's, and I think he's probably going to take this thing to higher heights. So yeah, that's a name in Austin to look out for.
Yeah.
Had a good
And
weekend.
before we close, I want to shout out. Speaking of 2025's Allen High School, the whole group,
yeah.
the whole group of 2025's Trent Payne, the twins, the whole group at Allen. They are the best team playing in Dallas. They They share the ball extremely well. Defensively, they're all on one accord. They're all trying to get to 50-50 balls, make plays. And how crazy are they shooting the basketball right now? They went crazy. They went crazy on that main floor at the Hoopfest. I mean, at the end of the game, they were just hitting shots with the Jordan, like what? Like
I didn't
Trent
watch him at
Payne,
the Hoop Fest because I've seen too
yeah,
much of him, but Trent Payne has
yeah.
been just netting them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he Trent Payne was on. He was on, and I don't know what's going on in his recruitment and in his recruiting. But coaches, if you're looking for a sleeper guard, can shoot it, handle the ball, run the offense, and I love Nehemiah, man. I'm a small guard. I played as a small guard. I love a pass first, get the team involved, tough small guard, and Nehemiah is that. So I got to give 2025 all of the seniors at Allen High School, and Coach Sip got them playing, man. They're rocking and rolling. So, you know, but moving forward, where are you guys at this week? What you gonna be watching? I think I'm gonna step out and go watch some girls basketball.
Let's go. Let's go. Before I go, Chidi for Sunrise. I thought 2026 that definitely thought he had a good weekend. But for
Yeah,
me, I'll chilling this weekend, be watching some local stuff out here, and then
yeah.
the following week, um, I'll be at City of Palms, and I'll be at Tarkanian Classic. So
Okay.
yeah,
You
I'll
know,
be
you should be posted up at Target.
post up at Tark. So I'll be at City
I'm
of
in there like
Palms.
swimwear. What's happening?
Let's have that. I'll be there from Wednesday, Thursday, then Friday through Sunday. I'll be at Tark. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, we rolling.
Brandon, where you gonna be at?
So yeah, I'll be at Tark from the 16th to the 19th. That'll take place in Vegas. So I'll get a chance to see some West Coast teams, take a break, and then go to Damien Classic after Christmas in the northern. I don't know what part of LA that is, but it's some part of some suburb of LA. So
Yeah.
I'll be there for a couple of days. So I think December is going to be all about the West Coast.
Mhm.
As far as this weekend goes, I'm gonna chill out, taking some college football, I guess. Um, and yeah,
Yeah, I'll be local, obviously. I think this weekend I'm gonna go watch some girls basketball. Hop over to the Hoop Fest on Sunday, which would be fun to see South Carolina and TCU. But then I'm at Snoop's event here locally. He's got a holiday thing going on, so I'll be there watching that. But man, we got
who's gonna
plenty
be
to
in
talk.
that?
Your normal guys, your Lancaster, Kimball's. He's bringing some teams down from Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be a nice little run. But we'll have some stuff to talk about. We'll chop it up next week about what we see going on in the culture. But man, I can't wait to do it. Y'all have a great week. You know what? Before we end this, I do want to talk about something that I'm noticing, and it's just fans. It's just fans of high school basketball, and fans being more than fans in the stands. Being, I'm sitting there watching this Special K game and Aaliyah Chavez, and they're both respectively number one in their classes, right? And Chavez, she got outplayed. Well, we've all seen it. She got outplayed. But there was a fan in the stands, and he was just hollering and talking about how sorry she was and how garbage she was, and this, that, and the third. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, she's the number one girl in the country. She can go to any school she wants to go to in the country. And you have literally sat here and paid to watch her play. And you're trying to heckle and be like, fans, just be fans. Just just be a fan of a high school kid. These are high schoolers, and I know there's some of this professionalism of high school players going on with NIL and all of that stuff. They're getting paid, but I would love for fans just to go back to being proud to root for their high school and root for their friends and things like that, and stay away from the negativity and all that other stuff. Because I see it, I hear it, and it's like y'all are talking about kids who are going to be college basketball players, and a lot of them are going to get NIL deals, and they'll immediately start making more money than you are right now. And I just think there
Not
needs to
already.
be, I mean, if not, I mean, for real, but I just think there needs to be some perspective as to just be a fan. If you don't like somebody, they don't have to be garbage. You don't have to call them out of their name. You don't have to make them feel like, they're trash. But there's this movement in youth sports of basketball where fans feel like they have this say so and they can do and say anything in the stands, and it's ugly. and it takes away from the game, and it doesn't give respect where respect is due, because at the end of the day, whether Aaliyah Chavez has a bad game, and she scored 31 points in that game and had double-digit rebounds, if we're just being honest, she still has put in so much work behind the scenes to earn the opportunity to play that game. And so many high school players put in work behind the scenes and work on their game. And social media has made it to seem like, oh, they're trash and they're garbage because they don't do what you want them to do. So I would just love to see fans just be fans. Let's get back to having fun in the gym and stop all the bullshit.
Fans is what is short for fanatics, on the good and the bad. So I'm not surprised by it. I do wish, like, especially when it comes to high school kids, we're not heckling them like that. I agree
Yeah.
with you. I just have low expectations for fans.
Right.
I think they just will do anything just to make them, like, not all of them, but like, ones like that. They say that to make themselves feel good, or they have
Yeah.
a daughter or a son. Like, I remember watching like Cooper Flag when they played their first loss of the season. It was against, who was it? Who they played that for? Kentucky, right? And he had what, like 20 something and 12, and because he turned the ball over late, they were, and I know it's college, but it was like, oh, he's not that good. He's not that good, right?
Right.
And it's like, are you saying that because you have a son? Like, that is, do you have a son that is like around that level, or you feel like
Right.
they're going to be better than him? Or is it just like you just don't like like that person for whatever personal reasons you
Yeah.
have? I think it's weird. I don't feel like you need to clown somebody to uplift somebody else, especially in high school or middle school sports. That's just ridiculous. Like,
Exactly.
talking shit about Leah Chavez doesn't make your daughter better. You know what I
At
mean?
all.
So I wish it didn't happen, but I have low expectations for fanatics.
I
Man,
think
I get it. But I just
we
wanted to
just
put that out there because it's just like, man, can we just keep the main thing and enjoy? Because the reality is, high school basketball, for those of us that watch it, for those of us that put in the hours that we do doing it, it's a joy to watch. It's a joy to watch the purity of it, the effort that you're at the place at the beginning of kids' dreams and realizing something that they've worked their whole lives for. And I just want more appreciation. And if a kid has a bad performance, they just had a bad performance. Like,
Right.
nobody's at your job looking over your shoulder calling you trash because you had a bad performance at work. Well, maybe they
yes,
are. Your
they
boss
are.
might your boss, I mean, but your boss may be doing it, but nobody's on social media. There are no fans. You don't have a fan. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to, but you were about to say something, Brandon, before we go.
Well, yeah, something like everybody's over my shoulder, telling me how trash I am because when they look at our rankings, there's always a problem. So, um, yeah, I have to deal with that. And then two, we just got to accept the fact that people are stupid. Like, some people are just stupid. You know what I mean? Like, who pulls up to a game to like look at a high school player and just tell them how trash they are when obviously you paid the money to go watch them play. Like, bro, you're just wasting time. Like I said, Duncanville didn't have the money, didn't have digital payment. So if you're wasting your time like speaking that out, like, how are you gonna pay for the drinks if you don't have no cash? Like, people are just stupid,
Right.
just naturally stupid.
Yeah.
Um, you know what I mean? Like you said, just enjoy the game as it is. But no, I don't think I'm somebody who, I don't think there's any upside in being negative. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So, you know, yeah, people, I just think it's a stupid way of thinking just to pull up to a game and just talk bad about somebody that you paid to watch. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
that's goofy.
Exactly. A kid that is a sophomore in high school that has a multi-year Adidas deal right now. And yeah,
Like,
but
multi-year Adidas deal, like, yeah, they make more money than you do. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I've never.
John Yuri, do you hear this? You don't have to tear a kid down to boost your kid. Yuri, you don't have to tear someone else down to boost your kid. John
Oh my
Yuri, please
gosh.
stop. Like, your kids are doing great, but you don't have to tear another kid down
You're
to
be
boost
taking
your
down the
play.
whole city. Like he takes
He
down the
hates
whole
Dallas. Yuri
he
hates
takes
Dallas.
down the
He
whole
hates
city.
Dallas. He
Bro,
hates
it's very
Dallas.
simple, man. Like what they do on the court shows. Like, guys, stop tearing a kid down the blue
Nah,
shorts. It is
facts.
the
Nah, that's
dumbest
real. That's
thing in
real
the
though.
world. Like, stop.
Now, what was
That's
It's some little
Memphis?
kid shit. Like, it really is.
Memphis started out the season playing UConn, and Memphis got the W. And he posted this picture of Jared Harris and Liam McNeely, and Liam McNeely actually had a big game, especially in the second half. And he like posted this picture throwing like a slight like at like Liam in Dallas. And I'm like, bro, like Jared didn't play. Like, bro, like
Right.
that's just the ultimate form of reaching. Like, hey, bro, like Liam had a good game. Your kid didn't play, and still Dallas sucks.
yeah.
Like, that's delusional.
He likes it.
Right,
Yuri
right.
likes it. And Yuri, it's all we're not taking a shot at you. We're not. I mean,
Oh, I am, and Yuri's my dude. Stop
but
doing that. Bro,
Ani
stop
said,
doing that. Like, stop tearing down a kid for your own kid, bro. Like, stop doing that. That's
yeah.
dumb. Like,
I
stop.
was gonna say when I saw him tear down Cooper Flag, I was just kind of like there's no way that we're doing this. But Yuri, like I said,
Flag is 17.
your kids are doing fantastic. They are performing. They are doing great, and you have a lot of history, and you have a lot of it in basketball. But yeah, let's lay off Dallas kids. Let's lay off kids. Period. Let's lay off Dallas kids. But I wanted to end the stream on that because I just think it needs to be said. And let's get back to enjoying the game, man. But great show this morning. I appreciate y'all coming on. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week at 10 a.m. Charles Campbell on the court, off the court. Brandon Jenkins, 24/7 Sports. Ani Omana, 5 State Hoop Report.
Peace out.